Hello, and thanks for joining us for 10 Minutes with Hannah Evans, a production of Celebrate Gettysburg Magazine. And Hannah, I am so excited to have you with us today. It's such an honor. We all read the story in the current issue of Celebrate Gettysburg Magazine on you and your beautiful book series about Appalachian Annie and how she's helping children overcome big things, big issues like poverty and addiction, especially the opioid epidemic. And so it's just such an honor. I think your story struck such a chord and resonated with so many people. It definitely touched my heart. So thanks so much for joining us today and spending 10 more minutes with us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. Well, first I want to start today by talking a little bit about our location. So we are here on the beautiful grounds of Gettysburg College. There are a few geese mingling around. Hopefully they keep it quiet for our conversation. But I also want to ask you about your location. So tell me how you came to live in Gettysburg. What brought you here and how long have you lived here?
Well, I've lived here for approximately 6 years, and my husband received a position in Westminster, and I have a teaching certificate in Pennsylvania, so I was hired at Chambersburg. So we found Gettysburg to be the nice in-between, if you would, for our commutes, and we love living here.
Oh, well, welcome. 6 years, maybe a little late for a welcome, but nonetheless, we're so glad that you found Adams County and Gettysburg. I want to say a few words first about a wonderful sponsor that's come on board. And I was so excited to introduce you and neglected to introduce myself. My name is Karen Hendricks with Celebrate Gettysburg Magazine, and we just want to say thank you to the Adams County Children's Advocacy Center for coming on board as a sponsor of our wonderful conversation today. If you don't know about Adams County Children's Advocacy Center, they provide intervention, investigation, and treatment services to child victims of abuse, and that's from initial outcry all the way through to hope and healing. Since 2006, Adams County Children's Advocacy Center is dedicated to a community in which children are safe and families are strong. And to learn more about them, you can check out their website. It's kidsagaincac.org, and that's kidsagaincac.org. Thank you so much for coming on board as a sponsor for our conversation today. So Hannah, in the magazine, we learn about your background as a teacher in West Virginia, a state with one of the highest rates of opioid addiction. And I can only imagine the heartbreaking kinds of situations that you heard from your students, but it sounds like some of that heartbreak is also what inspired you to write your first book. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. So the kids in West Virginia, unfortunately, West Virginia has a lot of stereotypes, which if you look at any graduating class, you'll realize that they're incorrect. But the children there, because they go through such hardships in their lives, whether that's poverty or having a loved one with a substance use disorder, they have a great level of empathy for others, and they're extremely caring. And that really inspired me, to do something for them, because growing up like this, it lowers their self-confidence and their self-esteem and what they can attain in their minds and life.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you're currently teaching in Chambersburg. So what grades do you teach and what ages?
Currently I teach in New Oxford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I left Chambersburg and now I teach in New Oxford. I teach at the middle school. I teach 8th grade American history.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So you've come through a number of school districts and a number of positions since. Well, you have a copy of your first book, The Letter, with us today. And I just feel like before we get any further in our conversation, can you read a few pages? It's
Sure.
kind of like story time. Can you read and kind of give us the flavor of the book?
Sure. And so I'm going to get to the heart of the matter in the book here. And it says, every day is like an epic battle. So Annie's mom is giving this letter to Annie. And sometimes the bad guys are bigger and stronger than me. And I love this page right here. This is one of my favorites. And it says, but then I look at your photo, Annie, and I grow stronger. Never feel that you are to blame for my addiction, because you are the reason that I keep trying and growing stronger. And I love this page for a couple reasons. One, it's the first time that most kids have ever seen the word addiction in a storybook, and it gives them permission to talk about it. We don't have to stuff it to the side. We don't have to stuff it in the corner of the room. We can chat about this topic. Secondly, if somebody is reading this and they're suffering from a substance use addiction, it shows an empowerment, and that their child is inspiring them to become healthy. And so I wanted to share this page with you.
Yeah. I mean, just a couple pages there, and it already just touches my heart. What was it like for you personally, the first time you read this book to a classroom full of children?
Well, the first time I read this book was actually at New Oxford in an after-school program. Oh. And I guess, like, personally, I didn't really celebrate that I, like, accomplished this. And so I walked in there and rounded up the children, had them seated, and there was like 20 of them. And I said, well, I'm going to read you a story, and I'm the author. And I turned, there's a couple pages in here that has my photo on it. And they were so excited that, like, I had to put the photo up to my face, and they were like doing the eye thing and to make sure I was identifying myself. And they acted like they won $1 million. Like, they were so thrilled. It was a lot of reassurance of, like, that I did something that's meaningful, But I read this story, in other cases where, they were celebrating me as an author, but I've read this where I've had kids say, my daddy died from drugs. When I get to the word addiction, it's like these stories erupt, and sometimes I've heard stories of kids experiencing overdoses, like watching somebody else. They've watched that. I've read the story, and then I've just walked around the room, and I've had kids explain how many foster care homes they've been in, and anything that's really on their mind. Sometimes it's like my uncle had a heart attack, but it's what they're worried about. And I think bringing the story to children lets them know that we genuinely care and we're not there to judge, and then they feel safe. Like, I'm just walking in as a presenter off the street, but then they can tell their story and their feelings.
It's a conversation starter. It sounds like it just starts the process of them opening up. And so this is also a conversation starter in the series. I understand this is the first book that you've planned in the series. So tell us a little bit about where you're headed from here, when the next book is coming out, and what other kinds of adventures Annie is having.
Well, like you said, this is the first book in the series, and hopefully next spring, next summer, I'll have the second book. And the second book is kind of like, it's about Annie eating this big batch of blueberry ice cream with all these toppings and sprinkles, and she goes to school, and she has purple skin and everybody else has vanilla, and her experience through that. So it's the idea of being different among other people, and that can open up a conversation to different religions, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, disabilities. So it's kind of like this little story, but then we can open it up into a lot of different meanings.
I have so many more questions for you, but I want to be mindful that we're coming up on 10 minutes. Darn. But I guess, one of the questions that really strikes me, Hannah, is how you took such a negative type situation and turned it so positive and approached it from such a positive lens. You talk to me a little bit about how you were able to do that.
I think in every situation that we're in, whatever hardship we go through in life, there's always hope. There's some type of hope. There's some learning that can be accomplished. And we're always growing, and we want to teach that in our children, because you never know what kind of trauma a child is going to experience, and we can't be there to stop the trauma, but we can help them process it and cope with it, to move on in their lives. So whatever hardship a person is going through, it's something that we need to speak about, and it's something that we can grow from.
I can't help but wonder if you look at yourself in some ways as Annie. Is Annie as a character someone that you think of as autobiographical?
I would say a piece of her, definitely. Personality-wise, like curiosity, I would say so. I also think she's a combination of my students in the past. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we can't wait to find out what the future holds for Annie and how many more lives, kids' lives, that you're going to touch with this book and this series. I also wanted to ask you quickly about, you founded a whole nonprofit to go along with this. So I apologize, but can you just kind of briefly or give us an overview of Curious Kiddos and what that's all about?
So Curious Kiddos, it's about the programming that follows along with the book series. So I'm able to offer readings. I'm able now to offer trainings to teachers in the classroom and other people who would like to utilize the book and the lesson plans that follow it. Eventually, would I like this to become as a curriculum that after school programs could just purchase, or that potentially we could start in areas where it's lacking?
Wonderful. So it's a great supportive network for the book and its contents. Well, we wish you all the best, and we're going to finish up by doing what we call the final five, just to get to know you a little better on an Adams County level.
Sure.
So I'm going to ask you first off, it's kind of rapid fire.
Okay. Getting ready.
But they're all easy questions. So first off, best cup of coffee in Adams County. Do you have a favorite?
Yes, Deja Brew. Hands down, Deja Brew. Love them. Love them.
Yeah, great little spot right on the square in New Oxford. I know it well. Yeah, favorite restaurant in Adams County?
Mila's Kitchen. The food is fantastic.
Yes, Chef Josh Fiddler is amazing. Yes, okay, good one. And who would you say is an unsung hero in Adams County?
Okay, well, I'm going to give a couple, and it's Josie and Rick Pelk. They are amazing. They are constantly doing things for the community, whether it's through the VFW, their church, or Josie still gives swimming lessons, and she's a retired teacher. They're constantly doing something for their community.
Yeah, oh, great. Well, wonderful to reveal that. And speaking of revealing, how about a hidden gem in Adams County? A favorite place, business, etc.?
I would say the Gettysburg Baking Company, or Gettysburg Bakery. I could have that little mix, but it's up at the square, and it's hidden right in the corner, and they have the best raspberry pastries.
Raspberry pastries. Okay, yes, right next to Lark on the square, on Lincoln Square. Okay, and the best way to celebrate Gettysburg?
Well, what my husband and I like to do is grab a couple books and then find, not a high traffic area on the national park and read. And I'll take my camera and take some photos and just enjoy Adams County.
That sounds lovely. Lovely indeed. Well, this has been lovely. It's been lovely getting to know you, Hannah. Thank you so much for spending 10 minutes with Celebrate Gettysburg.
Thank you.